This episode of Marijuana Today is brought to you by the good folks over at ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. When you need to get legal cannabis products delivered to you in less than an hour, and if you live where Ease is active, you're just a few clicks and keystrokes away from getting your order in, assuming, of course, that it's during legal delivery hours. Then you just sit back, relax, and wait less than an hour for your Ease order to be delivered. Ease only partners up with the top dispensaries in their active areas, so you know you're getting quality products at great prices. Check out the wide variety of properly tested, packaged, and labeled California legal marijuana products available through Ease by firing up ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E. Big thanks to everyone over at Ease for the support that makes this show possible. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, July 27th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 537 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story kicks off over the Atlantic Ocean as big news out of the UK broke yesterday that the British government would deschedule medical marijuana, making it available to qualified patients by doctor's prescription by the fall. We've been watching this storyline for a while now, as most recently the case of 12-year-old Billy Caldwell and his mother Charlotte have grabbed international headlines, with Charlotte fighting for the right to treat her son's epilepsy with CBD-rich cannabis oil. Things really got ramped up after the Caldwells were stopped by British customs while returning from Canada and had their CBD oil seized. In a statement released yesterday announcing the new medical marijuana policy that will move certain medical marijuana products to a Schedule II listing, Home Secretary Saeed Javid said, quote, "Recent cases involving sick children made it clear to me that our position on cannabis-related medical products was not satisfactory. This will help patients with an exceptional clinical need, but is in no way a first step to the legalization of cannabis for recreational use." Unquote. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions was just visiting Boston, Massachusetts, and held a press conference with Department of Justice officials in which he was asked a question about state legal marijuana and how the federal government would respond. In one of his more open-minded sounding answers, Sessions said, quote, "Personally, my view is that the American Republic will not be better if there are marijuana sales on every street corner, but states have a right to set their own laws and will do so, and we will follow the federal law." Unquote. Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission Chair Steve Hoffman, who hadn't seen the original press conference with Sessions, was asked about his response and said, quote, "If that's what he said, boy, I think that's pretty interesting and good. I was both surprised and pleased, if I have an accurate reading of what he said." Unquote. Keeping our sights in the Bay State as we wrap up our top three stories, we have a good headline about how the aforementioned Cannabis Control Commission is responding to the growing practice of Massachusetts towns charging exorbitantly high rates to prospective marijuana businesses who require their official blessing in the form of a so-called community host agreement. This is another storyline we've touched on recently. Under these community host agreements, cannabis companies can be compelled to hand over as much as 3% of their revenue to local governments, on top of an extra 3% sales tax that towns are able to impose. Yesterday, the Cannabis Control Commission met and discussed the issue as they work to provide guidance documents on the practice for the state industry. Our friend Shalene Title, one of the 5 members of the Cannabis Control Commission, who in full disclosure is an on-hiatus regular on our weekly podcast Marijuana Today, talked about the potential impact of overly demanding host agreements on the state's industry and said, quote, "If municipalities don't follow that law, they're creating obstacles to the Commission's mission statement, which is to safely, equitably, and productively implement the law. And we already know that when barriers to entry are too high at the local level, we end up with a market that is slow to start up and has a striking lack of diversity." Unquote. Not a bad one to read in full. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before I blitz it on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease is a great place to get your legal Golden State cannabis delivery because they're such sticklers for following all the right rules and regulations, and just as strict about having their partner dispensaries do the same. That kind of laser focus on quality control and compliance results in top quality products at great prices. You don't have to take my word for it, though. You can just open up ease.com, and if you're lucky enough to live in a part of California where they're active, check out what's available yourself. And even if you don't live where Ease service is available, you can open up ease.com for all sorts of useful and valuable bits of legal cannabis industry insight and analysis. That's ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E. All right, time for the Blitz. Embattled marijuana dispensary chain Sweet Leaf is back in the news, who regular listeners should remember for the series of police raids and arrests last year that shuttered 8 of the company's dispensaries in and around the city of Denver, Colorado. Sweet Leaf employees were accused by police investigators of allowing customers to engage in the practice of looping, where they make purchase after purchase of the maximum amount of marijuana allowed per transaction. Sweet Leaf popped up in the news earlier this week for their fight to stave off the destruction of millions of dollars of their product. In the latest bit of bad news for the company, yesterday Sweet Leaf's last 3 remaining operational dispensaries were shut down by order of the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division. There are lots of lessons here. The New Haven Register has a fantastic piece that you should open up and read that nicely dives into the issues of legal cannabis, business, and race. William Sumner talked to some of the leading Black entrepreneurs in cannabis about what needs to happen to boost participation in the industry by non-white entrepreneurs. This is one of our industry's more important issues, so make sure you read this one today. If legalizing marijuana just means the creation of more structural inequality, then we will not have won anything. Next week, medical marijuana patients in Pennsylvania will be able to buy for the first time medical cannabis in flower form, though state law requires that flower be vaporized, not smoked, because that would be illegal. When first launched earlier this year, the Pennsylvania medical system only allowed patients to buy the more costly, refined forms of cannabis such as topicals, concentrates, and pills. Keystone State patients will be able to find flower at their local dispensaries starting on Wednesday, August 1st. Swinging out west to California, we have the state's first voluntary legal marijuana product recall to take place since the turn of the year and the implementation of Proposition 64, which legalized full adult use cannabis. Bloom Brand just announced that it is recalling vape cartridges sold between July 1st and July 19th that were found to have the banned pesticide myclobutanil, which can be especially harmful when heated up to high temperatures. Open up Marijuana Business Daily for details on this one if there's any chance that you yourself bought one of the recalled products. Arkansas is making progress as it starts up the medical marijuana program voted in by ballot measure back in 2016. On Wednesday, the Arkansas Medical Marijuana Commission voted 3-2 in favor of a motion to hire a consultant to oversee the scoring of dispensary applicants, opening up the window for licenses to be handed out by the end of the year. The commission said it will take a month to solicit bids from companies hoping to score applicants, with the winning company then having another month to do their work to generate scores. Another day, another American cannabis company venturing north to Canada for some of that sweet, sweet public stock money. This time it's Dixie Elixir, the Denver-based edibles and infused products maker that just announced plans to perform a so-called reverse merger, where it will buy up Academy Explorations, a defunct Canadian mining company that's maintained its listing on public stock markets. Dixie will take over that listing and says it expects to raise upward of $20 million in the process. Dixie joins fellow U.S.-based marijuana companies MedMen, Forefront Ventures, and Green Thumb Industries in looking to Canada to raise money that's not available here in the States. Not a bad one to read in full. And finally for today and for the week, Marijuana Moment's newest writer Chris Roberts picked up on news out of California that the state's Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control has issued rules stating that it's illegal to sell cannabis and alcohol in the same location. Also banned is the marijuana infusion of any beverage containing alcohol, no matter if you're blasting your booze with THC or CBD. And as we first reported on earlier this month, the new guidance bans the addition of hemp-derived CBD in any food, drink, or consumable. Swing over to Chris's story for more on this one. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again on Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJTodayDaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.